This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Yunxiao was at his wit's end in the Divine Realm tablet. Do you think that the corpse puppet saber has already accumulated power outside and is waiting for me to go out and hack me to death with one strike? The demonic dragon pondered and said, based on its intelligence, it shouldn't be. Its only thought was to protect the pool as much as possible, but what was that white bone claw that was holding it? How could it have such power? A 9-stars martial sovereign? You must be joking. Yunxiao pondered for a while and said, even if I recover my peak strength, I won't be able to defeat this kind of existence easily. How could such a powerful force be willing to stay in such a place? There must be a limit. He separated another soul body and released it outside to investigate. He tried to lower the level of his soul body as much as possible to prevent it from being cut again and causing great damage to his soul. As soon as the Starlight soul body came out of the Divine Realm tablet, it was still dark outside. The corpse puppet saber was at the bottom of the pool, quietly inserted there. After that, Yunxiao's real body came out and took the soul back into his body. He stared down and began to ponder. With such a powerful force protecting him, it was impossible to seize the water origin, but he was not willing to leave just like that. After thinking for a while, he raised his hand, and a small piece of the earth's growing soil appeared in his palm. It emitted a faint yellow light, illuminating his gloomy and uncertain expression. The demonic dragon was shocked. You're a Pishio. Yunxiao's face turned fierce as he said, what do you think will happen if I throw this piece of breathing earth into the water and it explodes? The demonic dragon's body trembled and he said in horror, crazy. If you are willing to give up this piece of the earth's growing soil, the endless power of the earth element will be enough to completely fill up this pool. Even if there is the origin of water in it, it will probably be destroyed by you. Aren't you afraid that you'll lose your wife and soldiers? You didn't get the water elemental energy, but you lost the earth's growing soil? Yunxiao's face was gloomy as he said, if you don't give up the child, you won't be able to catch the wolf. Isn't there still a piece of the earth's breathing earth on the blood fiend's body? I just don't know how determined the corpse puppet saber and the strange white bone claw are to protect this pool. If they are willing to risk their lives to protect it, they wouldn't have broken the water origin. After all, this piece of breathing earth is too small. He had made up his mind. He slowly turned his hand, and the earth-like breathing earth fell from his hand. An indescribable heavy chi spread in the air. Yunxiao performed incantation gestures with both hands and began to carefully control the descent of the breathing earth. At the same time, he kept casting all kinds of incantations into it to detonate the origin elements, which he had never done before. He looked a little nervous. The water in the waterfall suddenly slowed down, as if it had been cut off. The pool seemed to have sensed the danger and began to surge. An uneasy aura rippled on the surface of the water as if it was about to boil. Helper! A voice that sounded like it came from the netherworld rang out in the dark water. That voice was definitely not something that a living person could make. Yunxiao's pupils constricted. He suddenly stopped the sinking of the breathing earth and retreated to the Divine Realm tablet, planning to hide in it if anything happened, because he saw the white bone claw holding the corpse puppet saber again. A figure gradually emerged from the pitch-black water. It was actually a skeleton standing beside the corpse puppet saber. A powerful aura was emitted from the skeleton's body, and a faint voice came from within the skeleton. It said leisurely, it's the master of the Divine Realm tablet. Why did you open the seal? Yunxiao's heart trembled. He opened his 3 eyes at the same time and looked down with the power of his eye technique. It was indeed a skeleton, and judging from its words, it recognized the Divine Realm tablet. Who are you? He asked. I obtained this Divine Realm tablet by chance, but the 4 territories inside were destroyed. I want to obtain the origin of water and reopen the earth, water, fire, and wind realms. The skeleton didn't make a sound, and only after a long time did it speak again. There are no coincidences in the world. Since you have the Divine Realm tablet, you are the chosen one. I will help you. However, the seal has been broken without me. Yunxiao asked in surprise. Who are you? What is this seal sealing? I'm just a wisp of a soul. I'm trapped inside someone's body. I can't get rid of it. The seal I'm protecting is just a part of my body. When you open the 4 territories, please help me sleep forever. Yunxiao frowned. Eternal sleep naturally meant death, but he did not expect the skeleton to be so eager to die. He promised, all right, as long as it's within my means. However, was the demon sealed within the seal? What's the background of that great demon? The skeleton was silent for a long time before slowly saying, at the beginning of the world, Tao became 1, 1 divided into 2, and from 2 became 3. Demonic Qi was one of these 3. It was born in chaos and evolved from Tao. It was undying and indestructible, and was a long-lasting catastrophe. When the demonic Qi has gathered to a certain extent, it will condense into an object with a spirit. It is called the Black Flame Fiend and is also one of the 10 true spirits. Black Flame Fiend. Yunxiao was shocked. He had seen that thing in the spiritual sea of a phoenix, and it was definitely a 10th tier 1 if it could compete with a true spirit phoenix. The so-called Great Demon is this Black Flame Fiend? The Black Flame Fiend is a rank 10 true spirit, but it's not that scary. It's not a demon, the skeleton replied. In the war to suppress the demons, the great demons were divided and suppressed. Were the seals opened? He suddenly asked. Yunxiao sweated in his heart. A 10th tier true spirit was not scary, but when he thought about how terrifying this man was even when he was only a skeleton, he reckoned that he was probably an immortal state cultivator when he was alive. He only felt that things were getting more and more complicated. He said in a serious voice, there are demons appearing in Mount Meru and the outer space. They look the same. Are they the great demons you mentioned? The skeleton thought for a moment and said, it's been too long. Perhaps the name of the place has changed. I don't remember. The name of the demon master is D. Emperor? That man called himself Di Jia, Yunxiao said suspiciously. Perhaps he is the demon master you mentioned. He doesn't look very powerful. The skeleton said slowly, perhaps the situation has changed. With the passage of time, each generation has its own responsibility. Now is no longer the time I live in. I can't even remember the faces of my family and friends clearly. The owner of the Divine Realm tablet once said that the day I see the tablet again will be the day I leave the dragon transformation pool. Yunxiao was horrified when he heard that. It was an extremely coincidental thing that he had obtained the Divine Realm tablet from the Li family's warehouse, but now it seemed that it had been arranged by fate for a long time and it had happened countless years ago. It was hard for him to accept it for a moment. The Dragonized Pool? Was this boneyard called the Dragonized Pool before? The seal in the earth vein that restricts divine sense is used to seal devils? Only a saint artifact can suppress a demonic body, the skeleton said. But a true dragon was born here, and it's a place that gathered all the dragon chi in the world. It's extremely powerful, which is why it was chosen as one of the places to suppress demons. The Dragonized Pool has 7 formation eyes, and the strongest one is the dragon eye that I'm guarding. The source of water you've sensed is a drop of a true dragon's tear. The skeleton slowly raised its hand, and a ball of crystal clear water element rotated above the white bone claw, emitting a powerful force that made people's hearts palpitate. Suddenly, the skeleton's body moved. A white light flashed and he suddenly disappeared from where he was. He had actually entered the Divine Realm tablet. Yunxiao was taken aback, and he quickly followed them in. The scene in front of him shocked him. The sky was filled with crystal-clear brilliance, and he felt as if he had entered a world of crystal. Is this still my Divine Realm tablet? He had too many questions to ask the skeleton, but the skeleton didn't seem to be interested in him. It floated in the air quietly and began to cast a spell. Soon, to the north of the Divine Realm tablet, the barren land of death began to reign. The whole world appeared to be like a dream, and this scene was much more powerful than when he had opened the other 3 regions. The power of the true dragon's tear spread out in the steel, and everyone felt refreshed. They looked up at the sky in the distance in surprise, wondering what Yunxiao was up to again. Mo Xiaochuan, who had been severely injured, was also shocked to feel that his injuries were gradually recovering. Yun Chao was also shocked by the power. What the skeleton had displayed was the complete power of water, and it had brought the power of the true dragon's tear into full play. At the same time, the power of the Divine Realm tablet was also slowly recovering. The other three territories resonated at the same time and began to shine on each other. The feeling was like the creation of the world and the birth of all living things, making all living beings feel great reverence and faith in their hearts, especially Yun Chao, who was the master of this world. This feeling was even deep in his soul. He sat cross-legged and immersed himself in the power. He slowly reached the point of forgetting himself and everything else in the world. He focused on the void, and only his heart was left in the world. At this moment, there was a building somewhere in the burial land. Although it wasn't grand, it was exquisitely designed and not simple. In the hall inside, there was actually a long dragon lying on its back. Its body was dormant among the mountains and its eyes were bright and vivid. The terrain of the entire mountain range was a simulation of the entire burial ground. The hall was very spacious, and after the true dragon model was placed, it could still accommodate hundreds of people. Everyone was very busy, doing their own things, and from time to time, all kinds of discussions and analysis would be sent. Suddenly, a shrill scream interrupted everyone's work. Everyone's eyes focused on it, and they all showed displeasure and slight anger. Xia Yunan, what happened? How can you be so alarmed and shrieking? An old man in red slowly opened his eyes, as if his cultivation had been interrupted. He was extremely dissatisfied with this, and his face was full of anger. Xia Yunan knew he had lost his composure, but he was still shocked. He broke out in a cold sweat and quickly explained, Lord Su Chu, the instrument used to test the ceiling formation just now showed an extremely large energy fluctuation. The fluctuation value has actually reached 3,000. The entire building fell silent. There was no sound at all. 3,000 mayflies. Su Yu was stunned for a moment, then he said indifferently, how is that possible? You must be seeing things. Xia Yunan smiled bitterly. I thought I was seeing things too. But I've looked at it so many times that my eyes are almost swollen. It's indeed 3,000. A man beside him laughed and said, you must have stayed in the boneyard for too long without a woman, so your kidney is damaged. Let me take a look. He leaned his head over, and the smile on his face suddenly froze. He said awkwardly, could this Ying's equipment be broken? I remember that the last time I broke a seal, the fluctuation was only around 2,000. Xia Yunan shook his head. The device was working fine. How could it be broken? Look, it fluctuated a little just now and then returned to normal. Su Yu finally couldn't sit still anymore. She immediately came to Xia Yunan's side and stared at the instrument. Her eyes gradually revealed a serious look as she said in surprise, could it be that a seal has really been broken? He suddenly turned his gaze to the true dragon simulacrum and gently stroked it with one hand. He muttered to himself, could it be that a boneyard martial artist accidentally broke open a place? Where could it be? Xia Yunan was shocked. Lord Su Yu, the previous seals were all suppressed by dragons. This time, the seals are broken. Perhaps another dragon treasure will be born. Everyone's hearts burned with excitement when they heard this. The dragon's secret treasure was by no means an ordinary item. Although they would not have a share even if it was found, this was a great merit, and they would be able to receive extremely great benefits. Su Yu turned a deaf ear to his words and continued to stroke the true dragon model. He pondered and said, the layout of the 7 formation eyes of the ceiling formation is so exquisite that I've never heard of it before. We've broken through 4 of them in a row, but we can't deduce what will happen next. Even if a true dragon's secret treasure was born, it would have already been seized. Who would be stupid enough to hand over such a thing? Xia Yunan snorted coldly and said, those who come to this boneyard to cultivate or to search for treasures are all poor. Most of them don't have any abilities or backers. A dragon's secret treasure was not something they could possess. We should immediately order the Red Moon City and the Blood God Palace to guard all the exits and investigate carefully. One of them said disdainfully, those scumbags from the Blood God Palace. Some time ago, someone forcefully bombarded the earth vein, causing the seal power to fluctuate. I asked them to investigate. In the end, they still haven't found anything. They seem to have set up a great formation to trap the entire burial land, but I don't know what they're up to. Suyu said, this is the eastern region. We still have to rely on the Red Moon City and the Blood God Palace. Xia Yunan, go and call Jiang Huishu over. Xia Yunan immediately bowed and took his leave. Soon, he came back with a middle-aged man, Jiang Huishu of the Jiang family of the Red Moon City. After bowing, he said, why has Lord Su Chu summoned me? Could it be that there's new progress in breaking the seal? Suyu nodded slightly, and Jiang Huishu's face immediately showed great joy. He said in surprise, when did this happen? Why didn't I know about such a big matter? Lord Su, you're not being kind. Suyu smiled bitterly and said, I asked Lord Jiang Huishu to come over for this matter. One of the seals had been broken, but he didn't know who had done it. I hope Lord Jiang Huishu can work hard to find this person. What? It was broken by someone else? Jiang Huishu was shocked. He said in disbelief, this Tao Wu, how is this possible? Everyone knew very well how powerful the seal was. To say something disrespectful, even if the city lord himself came here, he might not be able to break it open by force. Even if someone randomly barged into the seal, they would not have the strength to do so. Suyu nodded. That's true. However, as the seal's power is continuously broken, the remaining power will gradually weaken. It's been so long, so we can't see what's going on, but the instrument shows that the seal has fluctuated violently to a value of 3,000. It's stronger than any seal we've ever broken before. Perhaps the most critical part has been opened. Jiang Huishu said in shock, the most crucial part is that there are only 2 seals left. If we can break one more seal, it will be a miracle. That's right. Suyu smiled. His face also revealed an excited light as he said excitedly, the 13th district in the southwest has already found the clues to the seal. We'll probably get the answer in a few days. As long as 6 places are broken, the seal's power will become extremely weak. At that time, we can use force to open the seal. You should know what this means. Jiang Huishu's forehead was dripping with sweat. He muttered, there's finally going to be a result. More than 100 years of hard work will definitely shock the entire continent. Master Suyu, is there really a secret to becoming a god under the seal? He asked solemnly. Suyu was stunned for a moment, then she smiled bitterly and said, who can give a definite answer to the godly state? You're asking me, how could I not want to know? However, the person who set up such a grand seal must be at least at the god realm. He immediately said, there's no time to lose. Lord Jiang Huishu, please find the person who broke the seal immediately. The dragon's secret treasure is too precious. It can't be left outside. Yes. Jiang Huishu replied. Don't worry, Sir Suyu. In the East region, no one dares to challenge the might of our Red Moon City, Wu and I. Even if it's an ant, I'll find it for you. He turned around and left, beginning to arrange for people to search. Suyu pondered for a while and said, Xia Yunan, you stay here and continue to monitor the fluctuations of the seal power. I'll go to the 13th district in the southwest. Once the seal is broken, immediately send a message to the sacred city and send a large number of masters to break the last seal. He took several people and disappeared from the building in the blink of an eye, heading southwest. An hour later, they finally arrived at a vacuum. All the trees, mountains, and rocks within 1,000 meters had been cleared, and a large number of martial artists were scattered around to help. Suyu led the group to land directly and walked straight to a large underground cave in the center. Immediately, the person in charge came up to them and said in surprise, what important matter brings you here personally, Sir Suyu? There is indeed something important, Suyu said. How's the breaking of the seal here going? Lord Yi Chengying has been working day and night down there with many formation masters and experts from the Sea of Soul formation, and they haven't come up for several months, the person in charge quickly said. Oh. That Lord Yi Chengying has indeed worked hard. Su Yu praised him. Go and inform him that I'm here to discuss something important. Tell him to come up and meet me. Yes. Yes, the person in charge replied. He turned around and jumped into the big pit. No one knew how long the stairs went down. Su Yu stared at the hole and seemed to be deep in thought, revealing a faint look of worry. The person behind him saw his expression and chuckled. The seal is about to be broken, it should be a great thing. Why are you so worried now, Sir Su Yu? Su Yu looked at him and sighed, I suddenly feel like I'm in a trance. It's been more than 100 years. I've taken over this matter from Master Amaterasu for almost 50 years. Success is so close at hand that it makes me feel a little unreal. There was a deep worry in his eyes, and he said, moreover, for the past 100 years, the Holy Region and the Sea of Soul Formation have done their best to work together to break the seal, but they have lived in peace. I'm just worried that once the seal is truly broken, and if the secret to becoming a god is really hidden within, it will be a disaster for the entire continent. The man was stunned for a moment, but he seemed to understand the implications of this. He smiled bitterly and said, indeed. For most people, they don't really want to reach the immortal level. After all, it's too far away. However, finding the path to the god realm is always the pursuit of the strong. Everyone was sighing and discussing. A moment later, a ray of light flew out of the pit and landed on the ground. 3 people came out. Master Yi Chengying, you've worked hard, Su Yu quickly stepped forward and said. His eyes fell on a man standing behind Yi Chengying, and he frowned slightly. The old man who was the leader of the 3 smiled and said, Lord Su Yu is too polite. Long time no see, I didn't expect you to come personally, is there something important? Yes. Su Yu was about to explain, but suddenly, his eyes fell on the man behind Yi Chengying and he asked in surprise, this person looks so unfamiliar, I wonder if he is. It's just an elder sent by the headquarters to help me. He did a lot of work, Yi Chengying said with a smile. A strange smile appeared on the man's face as he whispered, I'm Hung Yuan, greetings to the secretary of the sanctuary, Lord Su Chu. Su Yu was slightly surprised. He could feel an extraordinary aura from this man, which made him feel a little cold. His eyes were filled with suspicion as he muttered, Elder Heng Yuan doesn't look simple. Master Yi Chengying, according to the rules, anyone who enters the core area must go through my approval. I wonder what is going on with this Elder Heng Yuan. His face gradually showed an unhappy expression. Yi Chengying laughed and said, Lord Su Yu is overthinking. Elder Heng Yuan was one of the people who came last time. I've already given you the name list. Did I? Su Yu frowned slightly. A few months ago, a group of people had indeed come from the Sea of Soul Formation. He had also taken a quick look at them. This kind of personnel transfer happened from time to time, but the seal of the burial land was too strong, so he could not spread his divine sense to investigate in detail. So I've misunderstood you, my lord. Su Yu no longer doubted him and nodded. I'm here to tell Master Yi Chengying that one of the seals has been broken. What? The 3 people from the Sea of Soul Formation realm were shocked. Yi Chengying quickly said, what's going on? Hurry up and tell me the details. Su Yu explained the situation one by one. Looking at the 3 people's happy expressions, Heng Yuan seemed to be even happier. His eyes flashed with a strange light, which made him feel a little depressed. The heavens are helping me. Yi Chengying laughed and said, to be honest. I've also made great progress with the seal here, and I'm afraid it will be opened soon. Really? Su Yu was shocked. In other words, there's only 1 dragon seal left out of the 7?